How's it going, everyone? It's Sam. Happy Monday. This is the day that a lot of us have been waiting for because NAT finally releases their Q2 earnings today. And it's very good what they released. It's a very solid earnings report. We're going to go over that. But before we do, thank you for everyone that wished my girlfriend a happy birthday. She had a birthday over the weekend. I didn't respond to a lot of the comments so far just because we've been doing a lot of birthday stuff. But thank you guys for that. She really appreciated it. For everyone else, if you don't mind hitting the like button and subscribing, and then also if you want some free stocks with Webull, or if you want to start investing with M1 Finance, there are links down below. You get 2 free stocks, one worth up to $1,400 when you start with Webull and deposit $100. So I appreciate it. So far in the pre-market, NAT is up about 2.6%. So I saw that when I woke up before I looked at the earnings report, and I thought that's a very good sign. Now, this could go up or down, before the end of day today. I wouldn't be surprised if the stock went down or went up, but we did have a very good earnings report. So we're going to break it down point by point. This is on NAT's website. It says that they had a net income of $49.1 million, so a nice increase from last quarter. And they're showing their dividends here too, that they're paying out a 20-cent dividend. They say our net income for Q2 2020 came in at $49.1 million, a 24% improvement from the previous quarter of $39.5 million. So that is 33 cents a share. They were expecting 28 cents a share. So they beat by about 17 or 18% the expectations. That's really good. The cash dividends are a priority for NAT. They're talking about how they're able to increase it for shareholders on record as of August 28. The time charter equivalent, or TCE, for our 23 Suezmax tankers from Q2 2020 was $48.4 thousand per day. In the previous quarter, the TCE was $44,000 per day. Our TCE was $31.7 thousand per ship in Q4 2019. Their costs are still about $8,000 per day per ship. Going into the third quarter, they see that 2020 will be a good year for NAT as well as 2021. So that's all awesome, right? So their earnings really good, really beat expectations significantly. But this is something that I think is great also. NAT holds $144 million in cash as of the date of this release, equaling 96 cents per share. That's a big position. That is a very large cash position because they have about $662 million in market cap. So for them to hold this amount of cash is huge. I mean, that's about 20-25% cash position right there. So that is really nice to see. So 96 cents a share of what you own is just cash. Our total long-term liabilities as per June 30, 2020 stood at $318.9 million, a reduction of more than $110 million since the year-end 2018. Our net debt is $256 million, or about $11 million per ship. So let's take a break there because that's a lot. So their cash position is $144 million. Let's take a look at what it was last quarter. So March 2020, it was about half that. It was $64 million. Now, like I said, $144 million. They've increased that by about $80 million in the last quarter. Now, what they can do with this, they can either pay down debt, they can either pay back shareholders by share buybacks or dividends. I think they'll probably put a little bit towards debt, but then pay a large portion of it towards dividends. And the reason I say that is they constantly say that they're making dividends a priority. So 96 cents per share. I don't think they're going to pay like 60 cents a share or anything like that, but I would not be surprised if they went to 25 cents or 30 cents a share to get rid of some of this cash, to pay back their shareholders, to increase it another quarter because companies really like to increase their dividends, so they'll probably try to beat the last quarter. I wouldn't be surprised if they announce that here somewhat soon over the next couple weeks, but of course this is speculation. I don't really know, but the fact that they have 96 cents per share in this cash is huge. Now they also talk about their debt. They had $354 million as of the last quarter. Now they're saying they have 318 million. So they were able to pay this down by about 35 million just this quarter too. So they grew their cash position massively. They also were able to pay down debt massively. So this is a great position for them to be in. So during the quarter, the company issued 2.5 million shares with gross proceeds of 15.3 million under its 40 million at the market offering. Following this issuance, the company has a total of about 150 million shares outstanding. No further issuance under the ATM has been conducted at this date. An aggregate of 33.8 million in gross proceeds has been raised under the ATM in total since it was established in March 29, 2019. This is something that a lot of shareholders wouldn't like to see typically. So for them to issue 2.5 million shares and dilute the shares, another 2%, 1.5%, somewhere in there, a lot of people wouldn't like that. But I will say, I think this is a good move. Their share price has doubled or tripled since last year. So the fact that they're selling more shares, I think, is good because they are a very expensive price compared to normal. So it's easier to raise capital without having to dilute the shares as much. So I like this from the company. I like that they did this. They also bring up an interesting point here, and this is something that we've talked about before. This is something that a lot of people talk about with the tanker industry in general. The ordering activity for new ships is muted, and the order book in percent of the existing tanker fleet has never been lower in decades. So this is something that we constantly talk about, but the fact that people and companies aren't buying more ships is really good for these tankers. I mean, for the world, it's probably not great because they're going to have to pay higher rates for shipping their oil. But for the tankers, this is great. So people aren't building more ships. There's some changing regulation in 2030, so people are holding off. So hopefully, as more ships kind of die off, the shipping rates will go up. And hopefully, we'll be able to take advantage of that as shareholders. Now, what is going to happen going forward? I have no idea. Definitely do all this research on your own too. Don't just believe what I say and what I think about this. Now, what's going to happen to this company, to the share price? I don't know. It's impossible to tell just because when you beat earnings like this, it doesn't necessarily mean that the share price is going to go up. What it means is they were able to earn more money, which is good for the shareholders. But if you're a short-term investor, people might be trying to get out of the stock now that they've had a good earnings report. A lot of people try to play the earnings, so they'll buy in thinking that the share price is going to go up after earnings because of some really good earnings. But, that's a risky play. I personally am not trying to sell out after earnings or buy more after earnings. I'm trying to sell at a certain price, and if I don't hit that price, then I'm just going to hold on to it. I think over the next couple of years, NAT will still do well. I think the fact that people aren't buying more ships is probably a really good sign going forward. Now, something that I want to bring up is the fact that if the share price starts to go up, like we've seen in some other tanker stocks, and if there's market sentiment that brings it back to tankers or brings some more excitement to tankers, I think that the share price could go up dramatically. And one of the reasons is the short squeeze. So this is something that I've talked about before. The short interest is declining. So the people that are betting against the stock, the number of shares that are bet against the company has decreased from 15 million to about 13.5 million. Now, I'm not sure if a lot of people have noticed this, but the sentiment is changing. There are less short sellers. Maybe they think that the price is actually at a decent price, or maybe they're having to sell off their shares that are shorted because either it's taking too long or because they think that there's actually value there. So either of those are good for our shareholders because that forces the share price to go up. So that's something where if the share price starts to go up and these short sellers are betting on the fact that the share price is going to go down, they have to buy back in before it goes up too high, and that causes the share price to go higher, and then more people buy back in and it goes higher, and it causes a short squeeze where all of a sudden it goes up like crazy. I'm not saying that's going to happen, but if it does, that's going to be a really good thing for us. Now, again, some people might be asking what kind of dividends can we expect? They have 96 cents per share. Again, I think anything between a 20 and 30 cent dividend would be reasonable. All the companies obviously still want to keep a cash position. They want to keep some cash for upcoming debt too. So I wouldn't be surprised if they held on to a decent amount of cash, but then still paid a 20-30 cent dividend. That doesn't seem unreasonable to me. In case you haven't seen my last videos, I might make another video here depending on what the share price does. But if the share price goes up dramatically, I said that I'd sell out around $5.15, and I'd sell out for less than that if we're past the ex-dividend date, so the date that we will get dividends. But if we see the share price go up dramatically in a day, I might just kind of ride it out. So I might not sell. I don't have a sell order right at 5:15, but I might see if we're going up dramatically, I might just wait until I see it start to dip and then sell out then. But I'm looking for, a 10-15% profit anywhere in there I'd be happy with. I've only held the stock for 4 or 5 months, so it's not like it's burning a hole in my pocket. I'm well diversified, but let me know your thoughts below. I really appreciate it. Thank you guys so much if you've watched through to the end of this video. Hopefully you feel good about this earnings report. Let me know your thoughts below. Also, again, if you want to use those links down below and get some free stocks, you can sell those stocks and buy NAT stock. Might be a good solution for lowering your cost basis. But thank you guys so much. I appreciate it, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.